All right, everybody, welcome to Bitcoin 2026 for Krown Network. This is the daily 2 p.m. AMA that we host, and this will be the final AMA for day 3. We're going to miss 2026 for sure, but what we want to do is end it with a blast here, and we have our team panel with us here today. So we have Ramy Daas, our Chief Blockchain Officer. We have Jerry Lagace, our COO, myself, James, the CEO, and then we have the CEO of ExeQuantum, who flew all the way from Australia today, Sam Tseitkin. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Lovely to be here, even if I'm still recovering from the jet lag. The energy is very fueling, that's for sure.
So today we have a treat for you guys. We do have an announcement to make with regard to Krown Network, Krown Technologies, and ExeQuantum. We did give you a little teaser about 6 months ago, I guess it was, on a new product, new technology coming out. And today we're going to reveal all of that to you, and we're also going to reveal the business back end of that. So you don't want to miss that. All right. Let's do what we normally do. We gave the updates earlier, right, Ramy, on everything. So we'll just do our typical AMA. If you're a part of our VCs, you do know that what we typically do is we'll take the questions from the crowd, which is fine, and we'll answer those. And then at the end of that, we'll go through and we'll give you guys some updates. So let's start it now. And Sergio, you handling the group?
Yeah, there's currently no questions in the group, but we'll take some questions from the audience here. William?
So this question's mostly for James. I'm sure here there's a lot of companies that are walking around and speaking to you. You've probably had some meetings. What is probably one of the most asked questions of you by potential partners? What are they most interested in?
One of the most interesting questions? Well, the question I get asked the most is, could you tell me about Qastle? And then when I tell them about Qastle, then Jerry will say this. Jerry gets this too. Ramy, we all get this because Qastle represents a new paradigm. It's a shift in security with regard to wallet. You know, we have a lot of people don't understand how quantum security works, and then you'll have some people that may say things like, well, I don't believe in it, or I don't buy it, or whatever. But what the problem with that is that they truly need to be educated, and they need to understand how the product's built, right, and what the vision was for it. So with Qastle, what we did was we took, and I'm going to go into this a little bit with Qastle, but what we did was we took the PQCs that are already standardized, that say it's at NIST, and we took those and we seeded those in Qastle where they're supposed to sit and where they're the strongest at. Then, as you know, we have an exclusive partnership with our partners at Quantum Emotion for their patented electron tunneling technology, creating true entropy through QRNG, or quantum random number generation. And so we use that as well in Qastle. And so I explained to them how all of that works and everything, and they explain that they say, oh, so my whatever or this doesn't have that, my whatever wallet doesn't have. And I'll say, it does, but it doesn't have this, because we are the sole partners, with regard to quantum entropy with Quantum Emotion. So that's the differentiator for Qastle. So that's what I get asked the most. I get asked about Qastle and I get asked about Krown. Because think about it, we've only been around, 14 months now? 14, 15 months? Man, you have to excuse my voice. It was a late night last night. I'm hoarse today. But anyway. Okay, next question.
Question here from Reg.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm just wondering, when do you foresee the Validator platform going live, and what does it take to become a validator? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We are aiming for this Friday, if not the latest Monday. That'll be launched. It'll have its own website. There are 2 types of validators. One is pooled validation, and the other is you become your own validator. To become your own validator, you have to hold 100 million Krown tokens. For pool validators, you just have to hold a minimum of 100,000 Krown tokens, and any amount after that, you can jump into a pool. Once that pool fills up to 100 million, then the node will be spun up right away. Does that answer your question? Yes.
Yeah, next question.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Saw you yesterday.
Yes. I would just like to know what exactly is a quantum threat.
Yeah, so a quantum threat. So with regard to, we all talk about Q-Day, right? So the quantum threat is the moment that the quantum computers are at a sufficient scalable at a level that they can overtake the encryption that we know now, which we know is ECDSA, right? Elliptical curve cryptography. So what that is the moment, and that is the threat vector. Is that's how quantum would attack, the encryption that we know now, which is the ECDSA. We're already seeing breaks. We just saw the first private key break, even though it was a small break. I think it was last week we saw, and that was announced. So that is the quantum threat, is the superiority or the superior processing power of a quantum computer as opposed to what we have right now in our classical systems. Then they're just not going to be up to speed. They're not going to be able to handle that threat in the coming years. And that's why we see the timeline. If you notice, it was only like, 2 years ago? It was like 2050 or something. And now we're down to 2029, 2030. There's a reason why that timeline is shrinking. And it's what I always say is we only know what quantum allows us to know, because every day you're reading something or some new article, right, that says, oh, this happened and now it's 20 times less and whatever, especially with Google. Google just came out with that, stating the same thing. So we only know, again, what quantum's going to let us know. Thank you for that question. I love that question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, yeah, just to get a bit nerdier, I guess. So let's take, for example, the algorithm RSA. It is what's called a public-private key cryptography. There is a public key and there is a private key. Let's oversimplify it quite a bit. The public key is a big number and the private key is two smaller numbers multiplied that creates that big number. And the way to break that public key is to basically guess the smaller numbers from the big numbers. And the thing is, the only way that a classical computer can do it is to brute force it. There is no algorithm that exists that can do it efficiently. So that would take a classical computer billions of years to break. A quantum computer possesses a new algorithms that classical computers aren't able to perform. And there are few that quantum computers can do. We got quite unlucky that one of the few it can do is calculate those smaller numbers from that big number, which essentially, and essentially that oversimplified math is also how our blockchain runs, how it runs the digital signatures that run similar type of mathematics. Quantum computers can break that math, and therefore we need to introduce new mathematical algorithm and cryptography that quantum computers do not possess as of now an algorithm to break. Yeah.
And this is why we love our boy Sammy. Next question, please.
Next question is from Dan.
What's the biggest... Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's better. What's the biggest problem in crypto today that Krown Network is trying to solve?
Well, I think from a fundamental standpoint, it's really about the security, the looking over the horizon at what the quantum threat is, right? So that's why we built the Krown Network the way we did foundationally. We built it quantum resistant from the ground up. So because we were able to see and look over that. I was talking about quantum threats back in 2022. You were there, 2022, 2023, and people were just patting you on the back and saying, oh, good attaboy, we'll talk later or whatever. And now here we are talking about it, and it's starting to gain more and more traction because it's real. But that is what I would say is probably what we're really built mainly for. And the other thing too is a lot of people ask me, when they ask me that question, they say, well, can you give me the 10-second kind of spiel on how that works or what that looks like if I had a diagram or whatever. So if you can imagine the human body, the Krown Network, the layer 1 chain, that's the human body. And inside that human body are the organs, right? So there's 32 products, platforms, and services within that ecosystem. All of those feed back to the chain as well. So that's how that all continues to work. And it all sits within an environment, an ecosystem, a chain that's quantum secured.
I actually have a question for Samuel. I'd like to learn a little bit more about the CIFA and or what.
I know where you're going. It's like we're going to get there, and in fact, along with the announcement.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was an announcement.
Yeah. Well, there is.
All right, cool. Any questions here?
I ask one more question about the quantum threat. Now, it's not only your wallet that is quantum resistant or quantum proof, but also the Krown token or coin, let's say. So what you're saying is that you don't use the regular private key, public key. What do you use? How do you, approach it differently? What is the difference with the regular one? Does it mean that when I have Krown token, I don't have my private key? How do I get access to it?
So we still share the same private keys and public addresses. Those don't change. We're layer 1 EVM chain.
Yeah.
So on that front, it doesn't change. That way you can integrate with other chains and goes back and forth. That doesn't change. From the technology standpoint, technology that we've worked with quantum emotion, that's all. That's how it protects and it encrypts all that data on the back end, if that makes sense.
It encrypts all the data. Are you saying that public doesn't see the public keys necessarily easily, or
no? They still see the public key.
They still see
Yes.
public key. So if they see public key, I guess the quantum. How is that for Bitcoin? They can work it back out, and for this coin they cannot. So I'm just trying to visualize why is it so different?
Well, here you go.
Okay. Essentially, it is the same system, public key, or in the case of digital signatures for blockchain verifies.
Yeah.
The private key is encrypts or signed. So essentially, if I break the public key, to get your private key, I can either sign on your behalf or I can decrypt your messages. And I already described that the way it works for RSA or elliptic curve is utilizing prime factors, two smaller numbers, one big number. Right. It's even more complex with post-quantum algorithms. It's just how the key the key is generated using a quantum random number generator. But then how it's handled to create, like how the key pair is created, how they're linked together more like. There are multiple different types of PQC keys now. Lattice-based, for example, which utilizes matrices. So again, let's oversimplify it quite a bit. Let's say I give you a map with a destination and a starting point. And now I create, it's a map of grid of points. And now you can put vertices, that leads from the start to the destination. And those vertices are basically the private key. You can probably guess them from the example I gave you because that's 2 dimensions. But in actuality, it's actually hundreds of dimensions that are being used. That's going to be a bit hard to guess.
I see.
When it comes to hash-based algorithms, it's actually utilizing the power of hashes, which is even more complex math. There is also multivariable code-based. Code-based is somewhat similar to lattice, but with quite a bit of variations. I can't explain those other two without getting to going too deep into a rabbit hole. So, but you get the idea. It's just utilizing different type of math to link the 2 key pairs together.
I see. Because the traditional way, it's they call it trapdoor. So you can get one from the other, but you cannot go back. So and then going back, but this way you you make it multi-dimensional. It's
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
What you described is a one-way hash.
Right. Yes.
That is used to create, hash passwords that you cannot get back. Yes. But for public-private key cryptography, it's a bit different. You actually need, if, for example, you encrypt my message, I need to be able to decrypt it.
Right.
So there should be a way back. It's just that the, hash-based algorithms just run different type of hashing operations that link the public key and the private key.
Okay, then quick follow-up question. So you think that quantum computers are not going to crack these algorithms that you put in place?
Well, that we know of. That's why for RSA and elliptic curve, they basically use the same math. Okay. And they reign supreme for 40 years. Sorry, I'll be done soon. But with PQC algorithms, they're actually in the upcoming years, we're going to be introducing dozens of new PQC algorithms. Well, not us, NIST, like the US government. Are going to introduce dozens of new algorithms. And the reason for it is because we don't actually know whether quantum computers will be able to break them or not. We just know as of now that we don't know of algorithms that can.
I understand.
But, so we create a bunch of different PQC algorithms as backups, new ones, etc.
So the value proposition here, then you have a promise that you're gonna stay one step ahead of what quantum does, right? That's sort of.
That is correct. So, and that is the reason why we signed our partnership with Quantum Emotion, because of their inventory of PQC products, but also their hardware with regard to their QRNG, their quantum, the entropy that we
right.
use in our products now. Yes, that's what we're doing. And as we continue to develop and as we continue to watch the threat landscape, we will continue to evolve with that to be ahead.
Yeah, because for you maybe it's easier since you're a little more centralized and you can change tokens for everybody or coins. You can quickly update. Whereas let's say Bitcoin, you have to maybe send somewhere and so on. So it's more difficult to do, right?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry. I'm just saying, like, the thing is what Krown can do is that they're initially quantum secure and they're going to be ready to transfer when the time comes. The issue with Bitcoins is that now I can grab your public key now, and even if Bitcoin has transferred to quantum safe encryption, I already got your public key that's using the vulnerable
and
encryption.
from that to
But the goal of Krown is to be quantum secure from the start and to be able to switch quickly.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You're talking. What you're speaking about is harvest now, decrypt later. That's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
So I have it now. I have your public key. Guess what? When the time comes and it's sufficient, I'm going to use it. I can extract that private.
That's right.
Got
so
it.
You have to transfer to another wallet and somehow hide it.
Well, the good thing about Qastle. Well, the good thing about Qastle is we generate the keys that are generated. They're constantly generated, and it's as random as the universe itself. So we don't. This is not a pseudo-random generation, right? So we're talking about true quantum entropy using electron tunneling technology. So that's how we stay a step ahead right now.
Yeah.
And of course, look, we're going to look 10 years down the road, right? And we're going to say, well, remember that conversation we had when it's in? Well, now this has changed. But it's all about being agile. It's being ahead of that curve, right? Qastle was built for that.
Right.
Will Qastle evolve and change? Absolutely, it will. Will all of the products in the ecosystem? Absolutely, it will. But we will continue. It's up to us to do our diligence and be vigilant for the threat landscape in the horizon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I got a question from the community. It's related to everyone's excited about this RWA platform that we're working on. What kind of criteria are we? I know there's a form and businesses are kind of registering. What kind of industries do you see that are applying? What kind of criteria are we using to verify if they're good companies or good projects or not?
Yeah, for sure. So the form that's going around isn't necessarily for RWA, right? So we'll clear that up. Yes, we're getting some projects still that come out of that form that are will meet the criteria for RWA, but the RWA platform that we're building out right now, it's more so coming from partnerships that we're already. Sorry with the mic, Peter. It's excuse me. We're working on it. Now I'm starting to lose my voice.
Jerry's working on it. Are you good now, Jerry? Jerry's back.
So yeah, the form is going to be for more. Jerry's gone.
Ramy. The form that was sent out was more for project-based. So we're being very selective on who we bring on chain. We're trying to be an enterprise first chain. We want the best to be on the chain first. And then eventually we'll open it up to the public. Now, on the RWA side of things, tokenization, we are looking at different companies from the real estate side, from gems, to tokenized stocks. We are talking to some key players, so, I can't say who, but there's a lot of meetings that have happened throughout this conference. And there's some exciting new projects that we'll be bringing on chain or from other chains and adding them to the Krown.
I love this subject. Okay, so I've had several meetings with, rare earth companies. I've had lithium, we've had emerald mines, diamond mines. They're all over the place. They're knocking on the door. But one of the most beautiful things and the reason why they're doing this and why banks, and we're talking to banks now, the reason why is because not only is Krown's network going to be more secure, but it is also going to be gated. So it's more like a premium chain. We're not going to allow the crap coins to come in and things like that. Anyone that comes in will be a company that will have their due diligence done on them. They will offer a product that's a premium product, that's a real something that people can really invest in and not get rug pulled, if you will. That's what we're trying to ensure is a premium chain. So yes, they are lined up at the door. In fact, I know that we do have several companies waiting for the tokenization and also a major real estate firm as well. So yep. Oh, you said what today? Yeah, we had a meeting today. Oh, you had a meeting today. There you go. All right. Next question, please.
I had a question in the audience related to bridging and swapping. People, I guess, I know we integrated it into the wallet. Can you give a brief description of what the difference is between a bridge and a swap?
Yes. So now on the Qastle Wallet, you are allowed to send your Ethereum to the Qastle Wallet and then bridge that over onto the Krown Network, which then allows you to swap Ethereum on Krown for Krown token or vice versa. So that's the simplest form. Now, before, you have to go on the DEX or go on Hyperlane's website to do it. It took too much time. It was confusing. Now you don't have to leave the wallet. So it's very, very simple for you. We've simplified it. And we're going to continue simplifying it. Eventually, we'll have an on and off ramp system. So we'll keep scaling the wallet further and further to make it very simple for the users.
So I'm just going back to add some very much needed context about the harvest now, decrypt later, because I know that if I don't, that people will bring it up, like people watch it. The way to prevent harvest now, decrypt later that Bitcoin can do, as well as Krown, is a hard fork, basically nullifying all former encryption. So there is a way for Bitcoin to get out of this theoretically. I'm just saying, disclaimer.
All right, Kelly, Serge, anybody?
Yeah, is there any more questions in the audience? Taking questions here. No, I think...
Okay, we have something to talk about now. We have an announcement. Okay. About 6 months ago, I guess it was, maybe even longer, we did make an announcement regarding a new technology that ExeQuantum and Krown Technologies were working on. And I'm happy to announce that Krown has acquired half of the 50% of the IP, global IP, for these new technologies. But we're going to go into this technology real quick. And you want to take it away, Sam?
Sure thing. Thank you. So the technology is called SIFA, which stands for Signature Factor Authentication. So you're probably familiar with the term multi-factor authentication, where you have to press a button on your phone or show your face, etc. And that's a manual process that we have actually needed to help a company in major crisis, because they had a malware who was installed in one of their products through some genius social engineering and was able to bypass multi-factor authentication. Not to mention it is manual and frictious. Sometimes people outright disable it because they find it difficult to deal with. Especially in my case, I when I went from Australia to America, it's been about a lot of trouble that my Australian number got messages sent to multi-factor authentication codes, and I couldn't do anything because I now switched my SIM card. So I'm locked out of a few accounts until I'm back. So with signature factor authentication seeks to automate the process, make it cryptographic rather than manual, and make it more device tied to just kind of prevent more of those frictions and hiccups. The way it does that is utilizing digital signatures. So blockchain already utilizes digital signatures, for example, to verify identity. Signature factor authentication utilizes digital signatures for a different purpose. It's tying your identity to some sort of asset, be it your device or your wallet, etc. And the main point is to prevent hacking of your device. It's like multi-factor authentication, but automated. So one case that we are looking to apply it for now, where we are testing it in, is email. For example, if someone breaks into your email from another account, they will send an email from your account. However, because it's not from your device, not containing your device data, the signature will fail and will flag to the other party that it is most likely a a malicious actor, or confirm to the other party if it is a correct actor, whichever is going to be more feasible. However, there are a lot of other use cases. One case we are looking at is address poisoning attacks, like, signing the transactions and it goes, and preventing, essentially unauthorized transactions from happening. Many use cases. But yeah, it's utilizing basically quantum safe signatures, some other more technical aspects like Merkle trees, which Google Chrome has recently actually deployed in its premises, and ID-based signatures, etc., to get that done.
All right, Sam, thank you so much. All right, everybody. Peter, how do you feel? You feel good? All right. So everyone at the Krown team, if you are on the Krown team, could you please come over here, stand behind us, or come on, Craig, come on, Kelly, Colin, let's go. Where are you guys at? There we go. We wish everybody. Okay, so this is the search. There you go, Peter. Josh, I know you're back there. No, yep. These guys, these ladies and gentlemen, they have worked tirelessly over the last year and a half now on Krown to build a better future in blockchain, a more secure future, and we couldn't have done it without them. This vision has been it's been a dream of mine, but it's also it's become everybody's baby that's sitting up here today, and that most of the team is here today. And I just want to say, from myself and from Kelly, we thank you for all the work you guys do. It does not go unnoticed, and we've all taken an oath, to our investors that, look, you put your hard-earned money into what we're building, and we appreciate that, and know that every day we do work our butts off to make sure that we're worthy of those investments. And we want to thank all of you for the support. But I want to thank this team, and the team deserves a round of applause for what they've done day in and day out. So thank you.